Up front for us now is Debra Gureghian. She's the general manager of New River Pizza and Fresh Kitchen in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where Sayoc worked as a delivery driver for several months until he quit in January. Debra, thank you so much for joining me this evening. Really amazing circumstances that I'm speaking to you under. He worked with you until January. What did you think, Debra, when you heard him named today?
I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. My hair stood up. I knew he had issues. He really was not, he definitely beat to the beat of his own drum. He was anti-gay, anti-black, anti-Jewish, you name it. Everybody that really wasn't white and wasn't a white supremacist didn't belong in the world. That's what he used to say to me all the time. But I really was shell-shocked when I found out it was him. I really couldn't believe it, because as far as an employee, he was on time, he was cordial, he was articulate. I never had any problems with him. There was no theft. My customers liked him, but it was just his political views that scared me. Basically, he was a model employee. That's what I can't understand. I'm sitting here saying to myself, what happened? I just can't, go ahead.
Debra, it almost sounds like two different people. I mean, you're talking about an employee who shows up on time, who was, as you said, cordial, but he had issues. I mean, and when you talk about the things that he's spouting, clearly he had issues. Was he violent?
Not at all. There was no violence at all. I mean, he made it a point. He knew I was a lesbian, and a very proud lesbian. And he made it a point to tell me that, you know, God had made a mistake with me and that I should burn in hell. And along with my other black friends. He would just say that to you, just straight to your face. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. But my mother brought me up to always, you know, believe the best in people, you know, and turn the other cheek. And I've had people not like me because I've been gay. And to me, I didn't have to go home with him. He was not a friend of mine. I just hired him. He did his job, and that's how I looked at it. You know, I didn't, you know, accept his political views. We had arguments about it. You know, he invited me many, many times out. He said he worked at a casino to come and work at and see some shows with him, but I couldn't bring a partner. I had to come alone. Sorry about that. But as far as an employee goes, he really was wonderful. I wish I had more like him as far as that aspect goes. But on the other aspect, the van was frightening.
I wanted to ask you about the van, because there has been so much attention on his van today. Did he bring that very same van with those very same stickers to work?
Absolutely he did, and that's why I hired him to drive at night. I couldn't have him driving in the daytime. I had him driving at night. He parked the van around the corner. I never got any complaints from any of the customers. If I did, he would have been fired. I can't, and this is what people seem not to understand. I can't fire somebody because of their political views. Whether they don't like me or they don't like a black person or a gay person, I can't do that. I can't. As much as I'd like to, I couldn't. But his van was freaky scary. I actually was talking to my brother a few minutes ago, and I was telling him he was driving me home one night because it was raining. And when I got in the van, I just remember looking, is there any way I can get out? Because I said he really appreciated me as a general manager, liked me, but hated me as being a lesbian. So I always wanted to make sure, if he ever offered me a ride, that I could find a way out of that van.
Debra, that's actually what I wanted to ask you, that you've been inside that van. Can you describe what you saw inside?
The van had a lot of McDonald's, Taco Bell boxes, a lot of laundry. Hygienically, it was filthy, it was dirty, it was smelly. There was beer bottles in there, vodka bottles in there. But he always dressed impeccably. He always had on nice cologne. He always looked great. If he was delivering my food to me, I'd say, hey, come on in. He always played the part very well. And maybe that's just it. He played the part real well.
Was it your understanding he was living in the van at the time when he worked with you?
No, he told me that his family, they were from the Seminole tribe, and he had a home on the reservation here, and he also had a home in Plantation, and he was very proud that he just got accepted into driving like a hazmat trucker, going to the different ports with biochemicals. And he was going to school in North Carolina, and he was very proud of that.
I saw in the Washington Post you told their reporter that inside the van there were puppets with their heads cut off and mannequins with their heads cut off?
Puppets with mannequins and puppets and nooses, you know, but that was on his van also. There was Ku Klux Klan, there was Nazi symbols.
Did he talk to you about these things when you're in there?
No, absolutely not. He talked to me about coming to a show at the Hard Rock, but I would have to come by myself. He appreciated me as a general manager, and that whatever I could do for him, I did. If he needed time off to go home early, I would let him go home early. And I appreciated him as being on time and being, you know, articulate and due diligent and all of that. As far as the political views, no. When he would start on that, I would just kind of nip it in the bud and say, you got a delivery up, you got to go. He knew that I was a very strong supporter, very strong lesbian, very proud of my sexuality. But more than once he told me that if he had complete autonomy, I would burn in hell with all the blacks and Jews and Hispanics and everybody else. It was just the white supremacists that were going to rule the world. And unfortunately, he said, Debra, as much as I like you, you're going to be the first one I burn.
Jeez. Did he openly talk proudly about, did he call himself a white supremacist? Did he openly talk about it?
Yes, he called himself a white supremacist, and he called himself a Nazi supporter. And
so did he talk about
Hitler.
I mean, if you look at his van, you see stickers of President Trump, Vice President Pence. Did he talk about the president?
He talked about Obama and Hillary Clinton, that he detested them, and that I would be on that island that he blew up with them. So those two, the only two, and CNN. And as a matter of fact, Rachel Maddow, I love Rachel Maddow, and we talked about her, and she was one of the other lesbians that was going to go on the island with me.
Did you talk about where he got this from? I mean, does he talk about, because he's seen it, he was seen during, 2016, and he's been at rallies, he's posted about being at rallies for the president. Did he talk about where his burning hate of CNN came from, or of anyone else?
No, he just said that the people that he labeled were very weak, and that he wanted to purify society. So in order to do that, he would have to get rid of the gays and the lesbians and the transgenders and the blacks and the Jews and whoever else didn't follow his suit, whoever else didn't follow his policy and political views.
I think a lot of people tonight are going to be amazed that you could carry on those conversations and work in a workplace with him. But why did he quit, Debra?
He quit because he got this job driving a truck in North Carolina, and he had to quit. And everyone was real proud of him, because he said that only a few people get picked for this, and everybody was like, you're going to do really well at it, Cesar. We call him Cesar, and you're going to do very well at it. And I have to, you just brought up a point, why I was able to deal with him. Mm-hmm. I must tell you that my mother is right now in my brain, in my heart. She always told me, you never know where people come from in life, and you always have to give them, love and kindness, and maybe they're suffering something tragic that you don't know about. And that's how I looked at it. I mean, I've lost a lot of friends because I've been a lesbian, but to be honest with you, my mother used to always say, those aren't the friends that you want. So I look at it as that he did his job impeccable, and I had no right to fire him because his political views were something that were against me. If there was theft or something that I was hearing from different customers, absolutely, he would have been gone in a heartbeat. But just having those political views, I could not fire him. That's what this country is made of, and I'm very proud of that.